Alright, so let me go ahead and maximize my screen here. We're going to go ahead and start putting together what I will call a menu to help link all of your pages that you're going to have for the assignment coming up. So I have to show you how to link everything, and that involves a menu or some sort of navigation between everything. So what I've done is I've just come up with a little sample here. I just called it main CSS. I have an index right here, and then I have my other pages inside of a folder here called pages. And these are nothing more than a very simple thing here. We're going to go ahead and link all the CSS's here. So I'm going to type in link. And now when I type CSS, it's not going to come up here. And that's because we're in the wrong level of, it's not able to see this. So how to fix that is you hit dot, then slash. And that brings it up a level. See where it's on the index.html? So when we're doing this, you can't see this, but you can see all of this information from here. If I minimize all this, this is one line of information. That's what that dot does. So dot slash, and you see all of this information just here. Now I can hit CSS and main CSS. Pretty cool. So I can hit copy and do the same thing on all of my pages. This gives me the opportunity to do the same thing on all of my pages. And then I'll just hit save on every single one of these pages. So this is actually 4 pages here. I have a main index, and then I have 3 other pages I can style and do whatever I want with. But I'm going to show you how to actually go ahead and put the navigation on the index home page and all the subsequent pages you use. Okay. So here's this right now. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this so we can get a little bit more real estate. So the first thing I need to do is come up with a tag, and we're going to come up with a descriptive tag. It's called a semantic tag. Semantic tags are just a fancy word for I'm sick of using divs all over the place. So it's going to come up with a nice name for a tag that Google recognizes and understands that it's some sort of menu or navigation. And that's what it is. So it's a nav tag. So I'm going to type nav, get my mouse out of the way, and hit enter. And then we'll use an unordered list. And then I want to go ahead and use, let's call this 4 line items. So this is going to have 4 line items in here. And I'm going to hit space a couple times here. A couple of spaces here. And a couple spaces here. So just to kind of give myself a little bit more room here, I'm going to put my cursor in between here so I can use Emmet and hit A and then tab. Now this is what's called an anchor tag. This is going to link or allow me to link to something on the screen. And that'll be in here, for instance, like your home. And this will link to this URL. And that's what we're going to put in here as a URL. So we're going to come up with all these information here first, and then we'll come back and put that in at the end. Home, I'll type in page 1. Yes, there is actually a way to do this in one line and have all this appear, but hey, we're still learning, so let's just do this so we can understand it. All right, now I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to go ahead and do this back up. So this is what I have right now. And this is all the copy or HTML I'm going to write. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my main CSS. And the first thing I'm going to come up with is saying, okay, I don't want to mess up anything else in here because I used an unordered list. So how, if I have another unordered list somewhere on my page, can I uniquely identify all this stuff I want to change? And that's by using the nav tag here. So the first thing I'm going to do is type in nav space UL and then open and close brackets. And the cool thing about Visual Studio Code is if you put your mouse over this, it'll actually tell you or give you a little cheat sheet as to how it goes. So the first thing it looks for is a nav tag. Whoops. A nav tag here, and then UL. So if it sees a nav tag followed by a UL tag, or somewhere in that nav tag there's a UL, it's going to apply this to it. So we're going to go ahead and do our list style, and then we want none, because that's going to take these off. Okay. They're links. Do you see how they're links now? They might be blue, they might be purple, depending on if you visited them or not. All right, so that's the first thing we're going to do. The next thing is I want to put these along the top in one line. So I'm going to type in nav li. So once again, it looks for a nav and then anything in li. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to display these. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, Dave, what is this display statement you are talking about? Display can be a number of things. It can be inline block. It can be an where's inline? Inline or block. So what is the difference? So it could be block, inline, block, inline. Okay. What? All right, stop. I don't need that. Thanks. All right. So it can be either any one of these three right now. So what block is that it says after each line item, block it or hit the return key. That's basically what it is. Okay. An inline block, it says complete the line and then hit enter. Or inline just says, hey, leave it. I'll let you know when to actually make the next line. So what we can do is that currently these are in block. It's the default. So if I type in inline block and hit save, you can see them actually come up here. And then it comes over here right at this point and says, just hit return. The next thing I put in is going to go ahead and start right here. Okay, and that's what we want. So we have this right now, just like that. Fantastic. It works, looks great. All right, so the next thing we need to do is I'm going to do a little bit of information right here. I want to come down here, type in nav A. So it's going to look at every single thing in nav and look for all my anchor tags here. And I want to remove these underlines because I'm going to do something really kind of strange here, but you're following along, so it's okay. I want to go ahead and take these text decorations, which is the underline, and say none. And that's going to remove the underlines here. Okay. If there's a bunch of different text decorations you can actually use, you can use a dotted line and different things like that. But basically, when it comes down to it, overline, solid, under, wavy, stuff like that. Double, align through, etc. This is for various things. Just hit none right now and hit save, and this is going to actually create this. Now, these are still clickable. Okay, they don't go anywhere because we haven't done anything with them yet, but they're still clickable. Now, the cool thing about this is we're going to go ahead and start kind of making these things look like boxes. We're going to make these things look just like buttons. Okay, so the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is come here and say, okay, let's go ahead and use a background color. And let's just use anything you want. Aquamarine sounds good, and I'm going to hit save. Do you see how it comes up with these like little things right here? Almost it starts looking like a button. So what we can do from there is now add some padding. And let's just do about 5 pixels of padding. Remember, that makes everything go around here. And mine's a little bit bigger here, okay? This is let me reset this back down here. Do you see how small these are right now? This is the way it is right now. So don't worry about it. We will get all this, make this nice and large and big with everything that's here. All right, so we have padding. We just put a little bit of padding. Let's make these a little bit bigger here. Let's hit 10. That'll be nice right around there. Okay. And then what we're going to go ahead and use is we will do a border radius. Now, border radius, these things are very square. Let me do that. There we go. These things are very square. What I'm going to do is like a 5 pixel border radius and just round them off a little bit. That's all border radius is that. It just says takes 5 pixels and kind of round it off. Okay? You know, we can do something pretty cool, like 50%, and then make them like little circles. That's kind of neat too. I like about 10 pixels. That gives them a nice round pause right there. All right, so we have that going on our page. That is fantastic. Now what I want to do is I want to center these two. So what we can do is the following. I'm going to come up here. All right, so sorry about that. We'll go ahead and come up here and then type text align, because we're going to align all the text in our list to the center. And hit save. This will make this nice and centered on our page, just like this. Now, the next thing I want to kind of do is show you how to make one more thing. It's really nice to see when you're hovering over this and have this change slightly different color. And by that I mean there is actually a anchor tag for this, and there's a special thing for all anchor tags, and that's called hover. So I'm going to come over here, and we're going to do a nav a colon hover. Okay, and make sure that it's all here, all in one. So this right here just says, hey, when you're hovering over this anchor tag, we want a little interaction. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'll do a background color of, what did I do? Aquamarine? All right, aquamarine. And now the cool thing about this is that if I come up here and I put my mouse over that little color block right there, I can actually come over, I can come over here and lighten this color up a little bit by dragging it over. And it should just be enough so that when I hit save, when I come over this, you'll actually see, I want to put that on the other one here, but you should be able to see information, just a little bit of highlight here. Okay, so what we'll go ahead and do is, instead of putting this line here, okay, so we have, what I want to do is I want to actually, instead of having just this little spot here that that does this, let's make this, I'm going to make this right now just a little bit different color. You can leave it just like that, it's fine. But for purposes of this, background color is the same thing. I'm going to go chocolate. It's just a total, and I'm going to hit save. Do you see how it only shows a little bit of this? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, instead of putting all of this information here, I'm going to take these three lines, 11, 12, 13, might differ on yours. I'm going to hit Control X, and I will put all of this on the anchor tag itself, and hit save. Now, what did this do? It just made the whole thing here a little bit nicer when you're actually going over it. Okay. And now I can come back here and use my slightly lighter color just to kind of show you how it works there. All right, so that's the menu. Now let's go ahead and link everything. And how do we put this all together? So the cool thing about this is that when we need to link things, we're going to change these hrefs. All right, so I'm going to change this slightly, and we're going to go ahead and use these anchor tags on hrefs and start defining where we want it to go. So for our home page here, right here, we want to go ahead and type in index, and I'm on the first one right here. This will actually go ahead and you'll see it pop up here. If it doesn't pop up, then it doesn't know where it is. The next one I'm going to go ahead and use is pages, and then page 1. And then the following is pages, and then page 2, etc. Okay. Now, this is just fine for our first page, our index page. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. It will go ahead and run through here. And we'll have to back up. And then go ahead and hit page 3. But we need to make sure that it's okay for page 2 and 3. So what we're going to do on page 1 is we need to have it go to our home page or the index page or whatever you call that page. And what we need to do is currently, right now, we're in the pages. And if you look up here, it actually has pages in here. That's that directory that we're in. So we want to go ahead and go back a directory to the index page. So what we'll do here is we need to go // and then you'll actually see index.html. That's how you get there. Now, if we want to do the rest of these, we type in page 1, page 2. Why? Because we're actually in that pages folder here. See, we're in this page folder right here. So all of these are accessible from inside here, but they are not accessible from the home page unless you tell it to go inside that directory. Okay, so we go ahead and hit save here. Now page 1 should be all set. So if we go to the home page here, and then we go to page 1 and go to home, it'll actually go ahead and work. This one will go here, page 1, this is page 2, and page 3. 1, 2, and 3. Maybe I didn't. There's that. And 1, 2, and 3. Awesome. Let me take a peek here. Oh, I'm on page, wrong page. So page 1, and if I go there, still working on page 3 there. Okay, so page 1 is just fine. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for page 2 here and page 3. So we're going to copy this over .index and the rest. So we can go to ./index and then page 1.html, page 2.html, page 3.html, and I can hit save and finally go to this one, which is .index, and then go ahead and do page 1, page 2, and page 3. Alright, so now we go ahead and when I hit save, we can actually go home, and then it'll go to the home page, page 1, 2, and 3. And doesn't matter which way we go, they'll all be connected like that. So that's how you connect those pages together. Once again, from all of this here, let me slide on over. The index is slightly different because the index has, you're in the actual folder you're in, so you have to tell it to go inside the pages folder or directory in order to get to these pages. When you're in the pages directory, you need to tell it to go up a directory, which is the ... in order to access the index. And those are the differences.